Okay, so welcome to the 11th class in the series. So we've just started the topic of Karma Yoga in the 10th class. As usual, we will start with a small um, acknowledgement prayer. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Sadashiva Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Salutations to the lineage, starting with Lord Sadashiva, with Adi Shankara in the middle, and continuing up to our immediate teacher, Swami Paramatmananda Saraswati. Okay, so in the last class, we started the third chapter. And in the third chapter, so this is a very important turning point because we saw in the second chapter when Krishna was talking about Atma, Arjuna's gaze was fixed on infinity. He was just blanking out. So Krishna realized Arjuna was not capable of this deep Atmanyana. So he switches gears into Karma Yoga, and there yoga karma sukhaushalam, all that, right? Immediately it perks Arjuna's interest because he's a man of action. um, but Arjuna is torn. He has a dvandva, a conflict raging inside. There's nothing that Arjuna loves more than fighting, but he has to fight his own grandfather and his teacher. So he wants to give any excuse possible to run away from the battlefield, cast all responsibilities, and become a sannyasi, a renunciant. So he uses the pretext of jnana being superior to action to flee the um, battlefield. So in the last shloka, so usually there's in some chapters you will see there is a bija shloka. So the last shloka, or maybe a couple of other shlokas, they would form the seed to the start of the next chapter. That is the case here. So the bija shloka is the reason the next chapter happens. So here, the last shloka, Krishna just glorified jnana out into the space. He says immediate liberation happens with jnana. Esha brahmistiti partha nainam prapya vimuhyati sthitva brahma nirvanam richati. He just glorifies Asia. He calls this state Brahmistiti, is a state of the Brahman. And when you reach there, permanent state, there's no vimukhyati, no more delusion. And here, once you reach there, Brahma Nirvanam Adhigachati, you go to Brahman. So that's how Krishna glorifies. Um, and also, in a previous shloka, Krishna has said, Dhurena hyavaram karma buddhi yogat dhananjaya buddhyau sharanam anviccha kripana palahetavaha. Far inferior, not just inferior. Actions based on the desire for fruits, Krishna says, is far inferior than what Krishna terms buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga is yoga done with the right attitude, which is another name for karma yoga. But Arjuna misunderstands. He just thinks, okay, it's all about buddhi, no action. You told action is bad. Now, what is Arjuna going to say? Jayas Arjuna Uvacha Jayasi Chet Karmanaste Mata Buddhir Janardana Tat Kim Karmani Gore Mam Niyojayasi Keshava. So, if you're considering knowledge to be better than action, why do you impel me to do this gory deed? The karmani gore mam niyojayasi means push. So why are you making me do this? And then he says, he accuses Krishna. He says, Vyamishrena iva vakyena buddhim mohayasi iva me. You are confusing my mind with the self-contradicting words. Tell me definitely what by which I can attain the highest, which is liberation. He just wants to escape, complete escape from the world. So he's all for liberation, but um, his confusion is there's internal conflict, and it is called filtered listening. Even in Vedanta, it's called filtered listening, just listening to certain pieces and then saying the kind of giving a contradictory interpretation. So Arjuna's intent, we're all clear, right? He wants to become a sannyasi. He wants to run away. He thinks he wants to, sannyasis pursue knowledge. They don't have responsibilities, right? He wants to become that. Now, karma yoga. Now we'll come to karma yoga. So we said, we all already talked about this in detail. Both karma yoga, jnana yoga are necessary. Karma yoga is like elementary, middle school. Jnana yoga is like high school. Can you say one is important, more important than the other? No, both are needed. From high school, you graduate. So from jnana yoga, you go to liberation. But both are important. So Krishna has talked many shlokas where jnana is glorified. But in terms of karma, durena hyavaram karma, buddhi yoga dhananjaya, buddhau sharanam anmicha kripana palahetava. And also he says, esha uh, esha te bihita sankye buddhi yogam tvimam shrunu buddhau sharanam anvicha karma bandham prahasyasi. Buddhi yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. So with this buddhi yoga, which is yoga with the right attitude, he doesn't say you will get liberation. He said karma bandham prahasyasi. So that is the important introduction, right, to karma yoga. You will break the bonds of karma. Karma won't stick to you. So Krishna has already said that in the second chapter. Now he will again tell that. So Bhagavan says, in the beginning, Lokesmin Vivida Nishta Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Lokesmin Vivida Nishta Pura Prokta Mayanaga Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. In the beginning, long time of creation. So here Arjuna doesn't ask, what do you mean by long time? You are just 89 years old at that time. Now you're saying you told it in the beginning of creation, which is like so many millions of years ago. He didn't ask. He again asks in the fourth chapter. He will ask. Bhagavan says, I told two lifestyles. Jnana yoga for the Sankhyas. He says Sankhyas means sannyasis here. People who want to solely pursue knowledge. And then karma yoga for the yogis. Yogis includes all of us, those who pursue activities, the grihastha, people like us. Here Krishna, if you see, he's referring to himself as the Ishvara. So it's where there are only a few places where Krishna is referred to as like a ordinary person. So Krishna has taken on the stance of a teacher. So he is now elevated to Ishvara. And then for the householders and the sannyasis, majority, as you know, are householders, because sannyasis, they don't earn money. They just live on whatever the society gives them. Society supports them. So if there are more people to support than people who earn money, there'll be a burden. So the whole system is not sustainable. There cannot be too many sannyasis. He says both of them lead to liberation. Okay, he very clearly says dvivida nishta. And then in general, if you look at the shastras, there are 4 lifestyle stages. They call it ashrama, which means lifestyle stages. Ashrama vyavastha, which means the different ashramas. Here Krishna has lumped brahmacharya and grihastha into the householder lifestyle. Okay, and vanaprastha and sannyasa into the renunciant lifestyle. Householder lifestyle is more suitable for karma yogis. There's more actions and little less for scriptural study. Whereas in the other lifestyle, sannyasi, renunciants, they don't have any response, no family, nothing. So all they do is they can just study and meditate upon this. And they, whatever the society gives them, they will accept it. And they also teach, like Shankaracharya was a sannyasi. We'll later study the story of Shankaracharya. So Shankaracharya, there are different ways in which people take sannyasa. Shankaracharya took a form of sannyasa called apat sannyasa. Apat means danger, right? So when there is a danger, you can say, okay, my life is going to end soon. I dedicate to become a sannyasi. From this moment, I will think of the highest. So when the story, will reserve the story for another time, but that's how Shankaracharya took sannyasa. So here you have less responsibilities and more time to contemplate. Then he says, Krishna says, just by not starting and performing actions, a person does not attain actionlessness, which is liberation. So very clearly, Krishna says, to get into this meditative, contemplative state, you should do the groundwork. Na karmanam anaramban naishkarmyam purushoshnute na cha sanyasyanat eva siddhim samadhigacchati. Very clearly, by not doing actions, you cannot attain a state of actionlessness. Sit and meditate and contemplate. You cannot do that. Very clearly, he says. Similarly, even for us to be able to sit and meditate, a little bit of preparation. That's why we have all the asana practice, right? And Krishna also says, just by renouncing actions, sanyasyanat eva siddhim samadhi gacchati. You will not attain siddhi. Here means the greatest perfection is what? Liberation, moksha. You cannot attain moksha by just renouncing actions. There is a certain key that is involved. That's what he's going to say in the third and the fourth chapters. Okay. Sannyasa message, sannyasa does not get moksha automatically. Okay. So that secret which Krishna will say is not just renunciation of actions. Renunciation of actions, even though you're acting, mentally renouncing. So that we'll study. We saw that very clearly in the second chapter. The understanding that the consciousness is the light which enlivens. So even though one is performing actions, it is not this consciousness. That is the real I. That is the only intelligent principle. The rest is all matter. Even the mind is considered matter, because the definition of consciousness is something nirvikaraha. It doesn't change. It is avyayam, indestructible. The mind changes so much from second to second. Not even for 1 second is it same. It is so fastly changing. So mind belongs to matter, but what kind of matter? It is subtle matter. Okay. So, and then Bhagavan says, nahi kaschit chanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krita karyate hyavashak karma sarva prakriti jairgunai. No one can even for a second remain without performing actions. Very clearly he says, some people think, oh, the success in meditation means I should just be able to sit for 24 hours without doing anything. No, your prarabdha karma will push you to do actions. That's what Bhagavan says here. Karyate kyavashak karma. Everyone is helped. Avasham means helplessly. Karyate, to do actions helplessly. Karma, sarva prakriti jair gunai, the gunas born of prakriti, sattva, rajas and tamas, they will push you to do actions. So forget this, the whole idea of going sitting in a forest and contemplating, it will not work for you. Last time I gave the example of Rama and Lakshmana, right? So their nature is to fight. Rama very clearly tells Lakshmana, if you go to that ashram, you will just kill all the animals around, because these are rishis. They have this tapo tejas. Because of that, first the animals won't attack them, and even if they try to attack, by the tapo balam they will stop them. We don't have that tapo balam. We will just shoot arrows and kill, and what will be there? There's a river of blood flowing around. So Rama tells that to Lakshmana. Remember that story last time? So the message is do actions, but without a sense of doership. This is the entire topic of fourth chapter. Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, which means karma sannyasa means renunciation of actions, but not physically not doing. It is through knowledge, the knowledge that even though I am transacting with the world, it is not the Atma, but it is all the Indriyas, all these things that are transacting. The real I am the Sakshi Tattvam, just the witnessing principle. Like the light, it illumines. Like the electricity, it makes the gadget work, but it is not the doer. With this understanding, you have to perform. Then Krishna defines the fake sannyasi. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyattan vimudatma mityacharasya uchyate. Mityachara means hypocrite. So Krishna says that person who sits restraining the organs of action, but who dwells on the sense objects in his or her mind, is deluded. Vimudatma. So he uses a strong word. So mudaha, we saw that, right? The different types of mind. Muda, Kshipta, Vimuda, so all that, right? Sorry, Kshipta, Muda, Vikshipta, then Ekagra and Niruddha, right? All these 5 types of mind in yoga. The first 2, Kshipta, Muda, incapable of yoga. So don't waste your time teaching them meditation or they asana practice. They have a lot more work to do. Here he uses the term Vimuda. The V can have 2, it's a prefix. It can have 2 meanings. One, it qualifies something, or it can be without, without, yeah. So here, Vimuda means it qualifies. So Muda literally means, Mudam means lacking intelligence. So in English, the word is idiot. So Vimuda means distilled idiot. So that's the meaning. So it's called a mityachara sauchate, that person who's restraining the organs of action. So karmendriya are the organs of actions, which the organs that interact with the material world. This includes the feet, pada, the hands, pani, for grasping, the rectum, payu, the genitals, upastha, and the mouth, walk, speech. Okay. Then Bhagavan says, Yastvindriyani manasa niyamyarabaterjuna karmendriyai karma yogam asaktasya vishishyate. But that person who controlling the senses with the mind is unattached and takes to karma yoga with the organs of action is far superior. Vishishyate, that person is superior. Niyamya means control. Niyamya arabate Arjuna, arabate takes to, by controlling, takes to, karma yoga. So yastvindriyani manasa niyam arabate Arjuna karmendriyai karma yogam, with taking to karma yoga, that person who's unattached, asaktaha, that person excels. Okay, so we completed. So remember, there are every chapter has many portions, right? There's a sequence of shlokas on one topic, next sequence on another topic. So similarly, in the this chapter. So we have the, okay, first 7 shlokas, the 2 lifestyles. Krishna has Lokesmin Vivida Nishta. The Nishta means um, a lifestyle, a committed lifestyle, Nishtam, committed lifestyle. So one is Karma Yoga and other for Sannyasa for Jnana Yoga. And that we covered. Now we will dive into the main portion, which is the detailed description of Karma Yoga. But before that, I'll have to summarize the shlokas of 1 to 7, and also, yeah, I'll come to that. So the 2 paths, Karma Yoga path for Grihastha, which has more Karma Yoga, more action. So even meditation is considered action. It's so even though in meditation there are different stages of meditation. So what they talk about in yoga, the chitta vritti nirodha, that is the first stage. Once your mind has become still, you can use it for siddhis, other things, but you can also use it for Vedanta Vicharam, which is understanding the nature of Brahman. And for that, the mind has to become very still. So, but most of the yoga, it comes under Karma Yoga. And there is less Jnana Yoga, less time to study scriptures. Whereas in the sannyasa path, you've renounced all the action, so more time for scriptural study, and you don't have much actions to worry about. You don't have family to support, nothing. You just live on whatever the society gives you. And very clearly, Krishna says, one is not better. Both are lead to moksha. Nishreyas Sakara Ubao. So both of them um, lead to moksha. And a householder, this is where Krishna in the Arjuna doesn't seem to get it. Again and again, he will ask the question. You will see that Krishna, in the 5th chapter, he really rubs it in. Arjuna, for you, you've not attained that state of mind for sannyasa. For you, actions, karma yoga is the correct path. You are still in elementary school. You've not gone to high school. He said. So a householder performing karma yoga is far superior to an immature sannyasi. Some people think, and they're sannyasis, they are godmen wearing sacred saffron robes, they are superior. A lot of people think that. Krishna shatters that myth. So the Bhagavad Gita is a book on iconoclasms. Krishna makes fun of people who do plain rituals based on the Vedas. Not one shloka, tens of shlokas. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadyanta vipaschitah vedavadarata partha nanyatastiti vadinah. They delight in the words of the Vedas. They say there's nothing else. Flowery words from the Vedas they utter for the rituals. And kamatmana swarga paraha janma karma palapradam, with desire, swarga parad, to attain the heavens. That's their only desire. They want to attain the heavens. So swarga para kriya vishesha bahulam yoga ishwaryam pratim gati. Aishwarya's lordship. So they want power, wealth, pleasure. This is all they want. That's why they are doing all the rituals in the Vedas. Krishna makes fun of them throughout the Bhagavad Gita. So the Bhagavad Gita is very revolutionary that way. And this is coming from Bhagavan, who himself has given the Vedas. Okay, then who's a sannyasa for? So sannyasa, a path of less duties, is meant for those who have control over the raga and dvesha, craving and repulsion. Therefore, corollary, sannyasa is not meant for 99.99% of the people. Now, in the Shastra, there is freedom for art. So there are these, the Shastra gives different, in life, our goals, right? So there is artha, kama, and moksha. Artha is wealth, kama is pleasure, and then there is moksha, is liberation. Shastra gives freedom to pursue everything in the grihastha lifestyle. But in the sannyasa, it is forbidden. Only moksha. And the sannyasa is considered a vow. So we in the Yoga Sutras, we saw that, right? Um, Sarvabhauma Mahavratam. So all these the Yama Niyamas, they are like great vows. Ahimsa, Satya, all these things, they're like great vows. Um, so it is something that should not be taken lightly. In fact, in the Bhagavatam, there is a verse which strongly condemns somebody who has gone to sannyasa and doesn't like it and comes back to grihastha. And the words are so strong. It says, Savai Vantashi Apatrapaha. Apatrapaha means shameless person. Sa Vai, one's own. Vamta Ashi, the one who eats one's own vomit. He's that shameless, apparently. Such a strong condemnation of somebody who goes to sannyasa and comes back. So Krishna very clearly tells sannyasa is not for you. And in the throughout the scriptures, you'll see, because why is this? Because when you take a vow of sannyasa, there's a lot of respect coming onto that person, right? And that gives a power. So it is the universal energy. This respect gives a power, and you have to hold it properly. If you squander it and you just indulge in mithyachara, become a hypocrite, it is you are. It's like somebody giving you money and you're abusing it. So it is not a dharmic thing. So that is why scriptures um, very strongly condemn. And in that context, I promised everybody that I will tell um, a story of Bhishma, right? Who Bhishma took a great vow, right? So the story of Bhishma, it all starts with a woman called Satyavati. So even before Bhishma was born. So this, I'll tell a little bit about Satyavati. So Satyavati was all these. So in Mahabharata, everything was about Janma and Karma. Somebody does a bad karma, so all these heavenly immortals, they do something bad, and then they come to earth. So there was a divine being called Achoda, and because of something that she did, she has to come into earth as Satyavati. So Satyavati was born to a fisherman. So Satyavati was born to a fisherman. So this is Satyavati. And one day, um, she was she would also ferry people from one bank of a river to the other bank. And one day there was the sage Parashara. So Parashara is the grandson of the great sage Vashishta. So Vyasam Vasishtanaptaram Shakte Pautram Makalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Shukatatam Taponitim comes in the Vishnu Sahasranama Dhyana Shloka, right? So Vasishta, his son was Shakti, and his son was Parashara. So Parashara wanted to cross the river. So I'll tell the story of Parashara another time. But now we will just focus on Satyavati because we have to come to Bhishma. So in Mahabharata is one story, we can just get lost into infinity. So I'll reserve it for another time. Satyavati was also called Matsya Gandhi because Gandha is smell, Matsya is fish. So she smelled of fish because she was a fisherwoman. And so Parashara wanted to reach the other bank, so he got into the boat and Satyavati was rowing it. Satyavati was a very young girl, and a thought came into her mind, I want a son who's like a Tejasvi, like the sage Parashara. And Parashara, of course, he could read others' minds and he sensed it. And he says, you're a girl with, you have divine qualities. I am willing to satisfy that desire of yours. Um, and so Satyavati was very happy. Um, but we are in the middle of a river and it's not proper. And then he covers the entire boat in a cloud of mist. And then they reach the other shore. And once they reach the other shore, Satyavati gives birth to Krishna Dvaipayana. And then Parashara goes. He's just a rishi. He just goes away. So Krishna means dark. Dvaipayana is one who's born between Dvai Ayana, the destination, between two destination, which is a like a boat island or whatever. So since Krishna, this person Krishna Dvaipayana was born in the boat, he was called Krishna Dvaipayana, and he becomes the great Vyasa. So Vyasa is like a title, becomes the Veda Vyasa because he organized the Vedas into four parts. So Vyasa is known for just about everything. Bhagavatam, take Mahabharatam, everything Vyasa has done. And also uh, the, the Brahma Sutras. So, and she, at the time she prayed, I wanted somebody who's brilliant. So it is said that Vyasa is dark, Krishna dark. Vishnu himself has taken birth as Vyasa. Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave is the form of Vishnu. And um, Satyavati had one more desire. Just as Parashara was leaving, I have one more desire. Everybody makes fun of me, calls me Matsya Gandhi. Can you remove that the smell of fish? And um, Parashara says, not just that, you're going to smell such a nice fragrance that you will be called Yojana Gandha, because for one yojana, long distance, they could smell you. That's such a fragrant smell you will have. And you will also be called Gandhavati, the fragrant one. So that's it. So that then Vyasa immediately grows up and he says, Mom, I have to go. I have duties to do. I have to compile the Vedas. So goodbye. And he leaves. So Satyavati continues her life. Then one day, there was a king by the name Shantanu. And he, when he was on the banks of the river, he sees this girl and he falls in love with her. Then Satyavati says, you have to ask my dad. So he comes to her dad, and then the dad makes one condition. Yes, you can marry my daughter, but my daughter's son, first son, should ascend the throne and not somebody who's already your son. Okay, so that is the condition. So now we will come to the story of. So this is Satyavati is the reason. We'll see why Bhishma took this vow. So Shantanu, um, before, so this is happening much before that. Once when he was on the bank of a river, he sees a very, very, very pretty woman, so beautiful, and he wants to marry her, and she agrees. So this woman was Ganga. And what happens? So she agreed, but she has one condition. The children that we are going to have, I will do whatever I want with them. If you question me even once, I will leave you. So, and then she had a child, but what would she do? She would take it into the river and drown it. It's happened once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times it happened. 7 children drowned. 8th time, as she was going to take the child into the river, Shantanu couldn't bear it anymore. Stop it! Don't drown that child. And then Ganga looks at him, says, you broke the promise. I'm not going to drown this child, but I'm going to leave you. And I will return this child to you at the right time. But now I will keep the child safe, but I'm going to leave you. So she leaves Shantanu. That's it. So this was long time before he married Satyavati. Okay, there's this child would later, and she also says this child would be called Deva Vrata, the vow of the gods, one of the greatest of human beings. Okay, and this is the child which later comes to be known as Bhishma. Okay, now, so I told you Mahabharata is loop within loop within loop. So how did Bhishma, why did the seven children die? And why did Bhishma escape? So this goes to another story. Once upon a time, there were the eight Ashta Vasus. Vasus are these divine beings. Excuse me. And these Vasus, when they were once traveling along with their spouses, one of the Vasus, his name was Prabhasa, which is like bright, maybe fire, like Prabhasa, like radiant. This Vasu's wife sees Kamadenu, Vashishta's cow, and likes the cow a lot. So she tells her husband, Prabhasa, you have to get me that cow. And Prabhasa takes the help of the other seven Vasus and steals the cow from Vasishta. Now, Vasishta comes to know of it, and he curses all of them to be born in the earth. They all come and beg for forgiveness. And they return the cow, of course. Then for the seven which only assisted, the seven Vasus, um, Vashishta says, okay, I will reduce your curse. Immediately after you're born, you will be liberated. So it's just a second, you will be in the, or a minute, you will be in the earth, you will be liberated. But for you, who Prabhasa, who planned everything, who stole my cow, you are going to live in earth for a long, 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 long time. Then Prabhasa begged and he just praised Vasishta and he begged, begged, begged. So Vasishta made a consolation. You will be one of the greatest human beings, but you will live for such a long time and you will suffer because of that. You will see atrocities done all around you and you will helplessly, because of that, you will suffer. So that is how that the last Prabhasa was Bhishma. That's how Bhishma lived for such a long time. Okay, so now coming back to the story. So Shantanu agrees to this condition. So actually, first he's kind of debating at that. So he comes to the palace to think about it. Then he's in such a bad mood because he wants to marry Satyavati, but he wants Bhishma to be the, because Bhishma is the oldest son, right, of um, Shantanu. And Bhishma, by the way, was returned. So Ganga returns Bhishma when he was 12 or something back to Shantanu. So Bhishma is living the life of a prince. And then he sees his father so stricken, grief stricken, and then asks, what's going on, father? And he tells the story. At that time, Bhishma makes the great vow. So Bhishma says, he makes a great statement. So he says, I, the son of Ganga, Devavrata, with the earth, sky, and all the four directions as my witness, vow that I will remain celibate all my life. In this lifetime, I will not marry, I will live without a lineage, and I will die without a lineage. This is my unwavering vow. Make a very famous statement he makes. And that is why he was called Bhishma, the one who took Bhishma, means terrible, a terrible vow of celibacy throughout his life. And because of that, the great vow, he had huge powers. Okay. Gandhari also took a vow to keep her eyes blindfolded. So we'll see that story another time. Okay. Now we will move back to the text. So I told you the story, I promised, but now we have to study. So where were we? Arjuna's confused, right? So Arjuna keeps asking the Krishna the same question. He wants to find the exit strategy to sannyasa. Krishna again, the 5th chapter, Krishna says, Arjuna, for you, karma yoga in a householder lifestyle is the correct path. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasat Karma Yogascha Nishreyas Sakarabhubau Tayostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. For you, compared to Karma Sannyasa, Karma Yoga is better. Very clearly, he rubs it in this time. For you, this is the way. Okay, so everything clear to everybody? Anybody has questions? Okay. So we saw the second chapter. There was portion on karma yoga, right? This is an elaboration of this. What we are going to see now is elaboration. So in the second chapter, we saw karma yoga was glorified. Neha vikramana shosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamaspyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even little bit of this karma yoga will save you from great fear. Krishna gives a fantastic advertisement. Then he says, who cannot become karma yogis? We just saw yamimam pushpitam vacham. Those who just do for fruits. Kamatmanah swarkapara janma karma palapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogeshwaryam pratimgati. So these people who only want pleasure, heavens, Krishna makes fun again and again throughout of these people who do all these pujas to get pleasure, heaven, go to heaven, swargapara. And then Krishna talks about the qualities of a karma yogi. Karmanyevadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma palaheturbu ma te sattva karmani. So the right attitude here is to do it without seeking fruits of action. That we will see in more detail why. Then Krishna gave definitions of yoga. Yoga, Yogas takur karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate buddhi yukto jahati hai ube sukrita dushkrite tasmad yogaya yujyasva yoga karma sukaushalam. Yoga is skill in action. Yoga is samatvam. So in all this, success, failure, be balanced. When the mind is ready to receive this knowledge through the yoga, then Krishna gives us beautiful, one of the most beautiful shlokas. We studied that, right? Apuryamanam apchala pratishtam samudramapa pravishanti yatvat tatvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti na kama kami. So all these shlokas you have to recite. These are some of the most beautiful shlokas and very powerful also. Now we will come into the detailed description of karma yoga. Okay, so we have to do a few more shlokas. So we saw the karmanyevadikaraste, right? Your right is only to action, not to the result. And yogasta kuru karmani samatvam yoga muchate. So this entire portion of karma yoga is elaboration of these two. He will tell why you have no right to the actions, so to the fruits of actions. So it's yoga for the common person. Hence the name karma yoga for this entire chapter, because this is the most important portion. So every chapter has one important portions and few other side topics. Well, they're all important, but they're side topics. So if you look at the Upanishadic mantras in the Ishavasya Upanishad, it says, by doing karma alone, one should wish to live for 100 years. For a person such as you who wants to live thus, there is no other way than this whereby karma may not cling to you. In the Upanishads, it says that if you do not want karma to cling to you, make the karma into the karma yoga. Okay? Then Bhagavan says, the 8th shloka, Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajyayo hyakarmanaha sharira yatra pichate na prasidyet akarmanaha. So niyatam karma means obligatory actions. So perform obligatory actions because action is superior to inaction. Karma chayo hi akarmanaha. Karma, action, chayo means greater. He means indeed, he akarmanaha, than inaction. Akarma is inaction. Sharira yatra, the life's journey, even the maintenance of the body, is not possible for you from inaction. Na prasidyet, not possible, akarmanaha, by inaction. So don't think you can just sit idle and meditate or contemplate. So there are different types of karma. Just for the sake of completion, I put it here. Nitya karma. So here, niyatam karma, he says, right? Everyday obligatory duties. Naimitya karma, occasional obligatory duties. Kamya karma, rituals done for fulfillment of desires. Nishiddha karma, prohibited karma like stealing. Prayashchitta karma, expiatory rites. So to, if you committed something bad, then you have to purge the sin for that. Prayashchitta karma. Nishkama karma, selfless action without expecting results. Okay? So then Bhagavan makes this statement. Yajñartat karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangas samachara. It's a very important shloka. In this world, actions done for any reason other than yajna. So yajna, we'll study the word. Give me 1 second. Actions done for any other reason are bound by karma. For that reason alone, perform actions free from attachment. Okay? Yajna. So typically when people think of yajna, they think of a fire and people putting stuff into the fire. It's like they call it a sacrifice or whatever, sacrificing your time, things, and at the end they will donate things to the poor. They'll give food to a lot of people, sometimes hundreds of people. After a yajna they will serve, so they're giving something. There's no English word which is equivalent for a yajna. We can use a few words to kind of convey what it means. Sacrificing something for a greater good. That sacrifice can be your wealth, it can be your time, it can be your energy, or you're teaching others. So we saw that I sent a note saying for people who are attending the classes regularly, Bhagavan in the 18th chapter, he says, those who study this sacred dialogue of ours, Adyeshyate cha imam dharmyam samvadam avayo, our samvadam, our dialogue, they would have, by them, I would have been worshipped by a jnana yajna, which Krishna considers as the greatest yajna. So when you teach a great knowledge to a lot of people, or you just participate. So when one person studies in detail, people around them, they see that devotion and they also study. So anybody who studies is motivating others to study. So this is one of the big benefits of the Gita study that Bhagavan mentions. And he also says, Shreyan Dravyamayat Yajnat Jnana Yajna Parantapa Sarvam Karma Kilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyate. The knowledge, yajna of knowledge, is the highest yajna, according to Krishna. He says that later on. Okay. Then, so, and nishkama karma, selfless action without expecting results. This is how it's done. Without, oh, if I do all this, I will go to heaven, I'll get punya. No, you're not. You're just doing it for the sake of doing it without results. Or I'll become famous. My name will come in the newspaper because I did a big, I gave a food for, fed hundreds of people. No, all that is not yajna. So karma yoga means karma plus yoga. Karma is action. Yoga here means right attitude. Karma yoga is action done with the right attitude. That's why it's called buddhi yoga too. So Krishna, remember, durena hyavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanam anvichya kripana pala hetavaha. Just actions is far lower. Buddhi yoga or karma yoga is way superior. So buddhi usually means intellect, but here you should mean as interpret it as attitude. As I told you, Sanskrit is a live language, which means it the context varies depending on the same word. It may be used in a have a different meaning depending on context. Okay. सह यज्ञ प्रजा सृष्ट्वा पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रसविष्यत्वम् एषवोस्त्विष्टकामदुःख. Bhagavan says, in the beginning, Prajapatihi, which is Brahma, having created human beings along with Yajna. He didn't create just human beings. Saha Yajna Praja Srishtva. Saha, along with the Praja people, Yajna also, he created Srishti, he created. And what did he say? Puro Uvacha Prajapatihi. Long time ago, Uvacha told, who told? Prajapatihi, Brahma, by this Yajna, may you multiply and flourish. May this Yajna be your wish fulfilling Kamadenu cow. Kamadukha is the Kamadenu cow. So Sahayajna Praja Srishtva Puro Uvacha Prajapatihi Anena Prasavishyadvam. Prasavishyadvam means you may multiply, flourish. Anena, by this Yajna. And Esha Wo Astu Ishta Kamadukha, the desire giving Kamadenu cow. This Yajna is like, may it be like your wish fulfilling Kamadenu cow, is what he says here. All right. So the Kamadenu, maybe I'll visit, keep that story for another time. Okay. So maybe we'll do one more shloka. Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreya param avapsyata. By propitiating the devas, the forces of nature, with these yajnas, those devas, the forces of nature, will propitiate you. Propitiating one another, you both will attain the highest good. So here, deva, you have to interpret it as nature. So by doing all this for the harmony of nature, you you help yourself and also help the greater good of the world. Devas refers to symbolic preceding deities or forces of nature like rain, etc. Okay. Indra is a lot of rain, Varuna a lot of oceans. So message, live in harmony with nature and not as something to be conquered. Okay. So I think it's 8:25. We'll stop here. Are there any questions? Yes, Shakti, you're muted.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So the kamya karma, is that uh, like an example of that? Would that be just, you know, performing rituals for the sake of feeling that um, that like many people have vadyars coming home
Yeah.
and doing the
Yeah.
home, and then they just feel satisfied that it has been taken care of without fully participating.
Yeah. So, yeah, this we'll see elaborately in the seventh, ninth, and 12th. So, Krishna divides bhakti into two types: Sakama bhakti and Nishkama bhakti. Sakama bhakti is all these: getting heaven, my health has to be good, I have to get good education, my children should get into good colleges. There's nothing wrong with that, Krishna, absolutely. But it's a lower form of bhakti. As the bhakti evolves, so the bhakti is also a very it is an interesting topic. People ask, does bhakti fall under karma yoga or jnana yoga? I've kind of hidden this fact so far. Now that you're asking, so the bhakti, it spreads. Both the lower forms of bhakti fall under karma yoga, higher forms of bhakti, it is same. Krishna will say that again and again, jnani atmaiva me param. So chaturvidya bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jignasu artarthi jnani cha bharatarshava tesham jnani nitya yuktaha eka bhaktir vishishyate. The jnani is the highest form of bhakta, because the jnani knows I, the Brahman, pervade everything, including him or her.
I
So,
see.
so this is not bad. Kamya karma is not bad, but it is a lower form. And Krishna also, that's why he kind of goads people to move from here to the higher stage. And he makes fun. So many verses. Traividya mam soma paputa papaha yajnairištva swargatim prartayante te punyamasadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. Trividya, they've studied all three Vedas. Mom, Soma Pav, they drank the nectar of after doing Homa, the food that you eat, it's like the nectar. It's purified, right? So Soma Paputa Papa, Yajna Irishwa, Swargatim Prarthayante. They give prarthana to go to Swarga. All these kind of things. It's not bad, but it's a lower form. And why it's lower? Because you can go to Swarga. Te tambuktva swargalokam vishalam shine punye matyalokam vishanti. Like snakes and ladders, I've told you, right? Having attained Swargaloka, shine punya, when the punyam gets exhausted, all you spend all your money in gambling, it's like the snake. Martyalokam vishanti. So the world of the mortals, they come back. And how do they go? Evam traidharmamanu prapanna gata gatam kama kama labante. Like you see in the airports, a revolving door. They just go in, out, like that. Gata gatam. Look at the words he's using. He just makes fun of these people. Gata gatam means come and go, like a revolving door. Gata gatam, what? Kama kama labante. They just want the desirer of desires. It's
Okay.
not at all bad, but it's a lower stage. You have to at some point move up.
Got it. Can you explain in today's world the vanaprasthashram?
So what? eh, So vanaprastha means when you become old, you kind of reduce your belongings. You go to some people. Um, so they live in these. So in the United States, they have this old retirement home. Some of them are very tailored for religious institutions. Like that in India, they live in these assisted homes where it's more tailored for people who have a certain faith. So it could be like that. But this vanaprastha was there a long time ago. People would go to a very quiet place, typically outskirts of a jungle, They will live in a simple hermitage. They will get some help from others, but the more time is for praying and everything, so there's less distractions.